everybody, the job of the day is on a 2009 Kia Carens. We're doing rear brakes today, so we've got new discs or routers if you're American, new pads, new shoes. This is an old school, so you actually have shoes that go inside the disc, believe it or not, which are for your emergency brake or handbrake we call it in the UK, and then obviously you have your pads which go in your calipers for your main brakes. Okay, safety, jacked it up nice and high, and I have got my axle stands in there on the chassis rail, and for good measure, when you take the wheels off, always just shove them underneath. McGrotty, as you can see, only half of the surface is actually in contact, so we're going to have all new stuff. Pretty. Stay tuned. So guys and girls, the first job that we need to do is to remove the cap on the brake clutch fluid header tank. Reason for that is when we now push the calipers, pistons in, we want the fluid to be able to rise and not be airlocked. So just crack that off, leave it just on there like that. Let's do it. So the next job to do, put her in first gear because the front wheels are on the floor, and putting in front gear will keep her steady on the jacks, and we can now release the handbrake. So guys, another top tip. So on this particular model, there's a rubber grommet just there. You flip that out, you can stick a screwdriver in, and you can stimulate the brake shoes to go back in if they're stuck on a lip and you can't drag them off. So don't need to do that yet, but right now you've got your two retaining screws, or just one on this one. There you go. So just give your old disc, doesn't matter because it's coming off, don't smack the nuts, give that a good whack. The reason you can do that is because then these screws tend to get rusted in. A good whack just releases that grip of the rust. Bit of WD-40 straight out. Now, although I am working on near side, off side at the same time, when you strip down, only do one side, simply because then putting back together, you've got a pattern to copy, so you can't go wrong. It's all right taking the calipers off, but once you take the disc off, leave the shoes on one side so you've got a pattern to follow. Come on, lady, look. Ah, there she goes. Yeehaw, people. So that one good whack with a hammer has done the trick. Look at that. Is it gonna be a lucky day for me? Come on then. There you go. Oh, I nearly pooped myself then. Come out, you bugger. There we go. Pucker. So, next jobs are just in the little loop, and there you'll see you've got your disc and your pads. We need to get a little pry bar in there and push the pistons back in to the calipers. And then there's two nuts to undo. They are 14s, one top, one down the bottom. Then the caliper will come off, and then we'll work on the caliper hanger, and then we get the discs off. Yeehaw! So great news guys, we managed to get a little pry bar in the little window between the pads, and as you can see the caliper is sliding on the actual pistons there, so that's good. Getting nuts and bolts undone. It's absolutely awesome. Literally just broke the bolts and everything's coming out undone. Now, didn't get new bolts, so when we put these ones back in, we're going to put thread lock on them. All right, So, caliper's off. You can see the piston there is now snugly pushed back in. We will clean all these up. There is actually still, if I can find my little pry bar. Now, where to put that bugger? Let's use this one. There is, you can't actually see in the sun, but you can see they weren't actually, only half were making contact. Still plenty of beef on them, but they were rather cheap, about £14 for the set, so no point worrying. So we're getting the pads out, and then typical bloody Kia people, so you really can't see much because of the light. So we've got the pads out. We've now got a take which is called the caliper hanger, so the caliper slides across the hanger. Typical though, look in the back here, I don't know if you can see. So rather than just having one bolt there, the other bolt is hidden up behind the frickin' wishbone arm. So I've got to take all the wishbone arm out so I can get to a bolt in there. So the pin what goes through the suspension arm there, there's 17, so we've got a ring spanner on one side and on the other. There it goes. That's locking off. Just get you up there on the head cam. Now, the nut is now free. To spin that by hand, take your spanner off the other side. What's always good, leave that on there, put your socket back on, tap-a-rooney, tap tap tap, there we go, undo the nut a little bit, another little tap-a-rooney, there we go. Nice little tap, because you don't want to naff your threads up, guys. There we go. Now with a bit of luck we can get the pry bar on the other side and tap it completely out. There we go. Interesting to note, guys, this is a 14-year-old vehicle and every damn nut and bolt so far has come out lovely. So just moving you in there a little bit. So the Botman suspension arm what ran along there, which goes into the back of the hub, we've got to knock that downwards. Once that's cleared, we can then get to the bolt which is in the back there. Alright, and then the cradle will come up. Go. There we go, that'll hold that down. Just before I do take that off, guys, just to save another little bit of time, just give her a little bit of articulation. Unfortunately, like I said, I couldn't get new shims or new bolts, so we're going to have to repurpose the old. So right now it's good just to just give her a little bit of a tidy up in there. There we go. Right. Hello, Chris. How are you, buddy?
Not too bad.
So guys, we got the disc off. It was absolutely full of old debris. It was a bit of a challenge to get off, but with a couple of smacks, tap-tap-peroonies, came off. I've just cleaned the surface up of the flange. Gotta love a nice clean flange, guys. So the next job is to take the handbrake cable off. On this one, here it is, it runs in. There's a little U-clip which you can just pull up, and then the cable will come up, and then down here it's attached to the actual lever, what comes through here. Give it a nice little WD. We'll get that, work that up. Hopefully that'll come off. Right, so we give that a nice little lube up down the back there. Just wanted to bring your attention to these. Why struggle with the wrong pliers, guys and girls? Just go out, bite the bullet, and buy yourself what I'd call that surgical pliers. They're all different angles, as you can see. This is only a cheap set. I think it was about 14 quid. Quid is pounds here in the UK, by the way. Yeah, and that makes pulling clips off damn sight easier. So guys, that's the clip we're talking about that was on the back there on the handbrake. Having the right tools just makes that job so much easier. So there you go guys, that was an easy one. The cable literally, once the clip was removed, pulled back, which then gave me enough to bend it forward and take it off of there. So that's off. So guys, this is where the problem lays. So the retaining little clips down there, they're a spring with a washer which has got a groove cut in. As you can see, there's a groove there. There's a pin that comes through. Let's see it there, and it's got a flat head. So you literally have to push that over the pin and turn it to lock it. Now you would think that there would be a cutaway. Lining that up is still not going to give you access to use a regular tool on it. So to get these off, I'm going to have to use the old sidewinder pliers and try and do that. It's going to be real shit to get them back on, I know it is. Stay tuned for some swearing. So we're down below now. We've got those springs and split washers off. So we're down below now. Here's the adjuster, and you can see there's a retention spring either side what's keeping the two shoes together. I'm electing to get that spring off, then the shoes will open up and I can take them off up the top. I think that'd be easier than trying to do it up the top because there's a spacer bar and then the spring down there. Stay tuned, let's see if we can get it off. Hey, right then guys, so here we go. The shoes are on. It was a bit of a shit to get them back in, but we got them with a bit of manipulation with some snidey pliers. Look at them beauties. So we now can get the disc on, that can go, or the router. And then one thing that we've got to do is, unfortunately I couldn't get new hardware, which are these little steel shims in here, and you can see they're a bit cruddy, so we'll pop them out, give them a clean up, give them a little bit of grease and put them back in. Not a lot of people use a bit of brake grease in these, and you shouldn't do if you're in a hot weather place like California, eh? But here in the UK we have corrosion, so a little drop of grease in there. There is an argument that that will trap the dust in, but this is my vehicle and I regularly take the brakes apart every year, so it's not a problem. So without further ado, let's get the disc on. Guys, we've put a little bit of copper grease just down into the footings there, so they're not going to seize up. Give her a good little old shiny on the shoes. Now that side is ready for the disc to go back on. Round to the other side, leaving this side as a pattern. Okay. Guys, we're nearly there now. Pads are in, caliper hangers back on, pins in the suspension arm. I like to put a little bit of copper grease just on where it contacts. I know it's got anti-squeal shims in, but that just helps a little bit more. And the same, I like to just put a little smearing around there. And I know what people are going to say, yeah, but it's going to trap the dust, but these brakes will be taken out again in about 8 months, cleaned up before the winter comes. So there you go. Let's get it back on, adjust the handbrakes, we're good to go. So I hope that you've enjoyed this little video of me working on a Kia Carens 2009 diesel model fitting the rear brakes. One thing I didn't cover was the adjustment of the shoes to marry up to the routers, or the discs we call them here in the UK. It's done quite simply. On the picture you can see here, there's a little bar, and in the middle there's like a little toggle wheel, like a little serrated wheel. By
turning that little serrated toggle wheel in the middle, it then splays the end of the bar that you can see on either end out, which pushes the shoes out slightly to then fit the drums. So what you want to do is put your drums on, pull your handbrake up. If they're not adjusted properly, you can then stimulate through the little portal hole, which was the little rubber grommet that I
highlighted in the very beginning of this. You could take that grommet out, stick a little electrician screwdriver in, and then you can ticulate the little toggle wheel there in the middle until your shoes then start to bite onto the actual drums. There are plenty of other videos on YouTube, so I'm not going to go too in depth here on to explain how to adjust your brake shoes. If you need me to, I'll do a separate video for that. Anyway, used a little bit of copper grease just on the old wheel studs there, just before I put the bolt nuts back on, simply for next time they come off a little bit easier. With brakes, always when you first get back in your car, obviously make sure you've got enough fluid in the header tank, put the cap back on and pump your pedal until the pedal is nice and hard and firm. That way you've pushed your pistons back out of the calipers and they're now ready to go. But even then, you're not ready to go, because we need to now bed the actual brakes into the car. Now this is done various ways, but what I like to do is I just go onto a not too busy side street and then just slowly drive along with the handbrake on, handbrake off, handbrake on, handbrake off, and using your brakes. No sudden braking, because until you bring the actual material of your new brake pads and your brake shoes up to temperature, you can actually damage them. So basically building up gradual heat into your brakes by gently applying your brake pedal as you're driving along. Okay, I hope this explains everything. Like I said, please like, comment and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below if I've missed anything out and you need me to just explain a little bit more. But this process is basically the same whether it's a Tesla, believe it or not. Yes, your electric car still has these kind of brakes, okay? So right the way through the car range, whether it's a petrol, diesel or an electric, okay? The principle of the hydraulic braking system is the same. Hope you found this intriguing and knowledgeable. And like I said, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Little John out. Bye-bye.